911, what's the nature of your emergency?
Hello and welcome to KPLE live broadcast today on emergency readiness. We have a panel of experts that will be sharing with us on how to be prepared and ready for man-made and natural disasters. In our first of three segments, we have as our guest Brian Ginther. Hello.
Hello.
And Chad Bird.
Hi.
And Brian, you are the from the International Fellowship of Chaplains.
Yes.
Right? And Chad, you're Emergency Management Homeland Security Coordinator of the City of Georgetown, Texas.
That's correct.
Long titles. Welcome, gentlemen. Okay, good deal. So Chaplain Gunther, yes. You haven't spoken very much. So you have a broad EMS background, correct? Spanning over 18 years.
I do, that's right.
And so what are some of the types of EMS services you've been involved with?
I've been involved with city-run, hospital-based, and private EMS for the last 18 years or so, and my specific function now in this area is I'm a chaplain for those first responder organizations. Most first responders, when they go through school, are told that if you can't handle the things that you experience day to day in your career, that you probably are in the wrong line of business. Mm-hmm. But the truth is that first responders are people too. Correct. And yes. They have the same issues that the regular population has when they go through traumatic events and respond to disasters. And so we work a lot with the area first responders and other groups, other church and corporate groups, to help prepare them for the things that they go through and to help them process the things that they experience so that post-traumatic stress doesn't become post-traumatic stress disorder. Right. Mm-hmm.
So how does your work as a chaplain fit into an active emergency situation? I mean, what does your services provide?
Sure. So the International Fellowship of Chaplains is an international organization, and we're a governmental helps organization, which means that we are secular in nature with spiritual overtones, which mm-hmm. means that we can support the government in its activities and not run into the barrier of church versus state because we're not a church.
Of course.
And so our chaplains can be found during a disaster almost anywhere. So we have chaplains on the local CERT teams. We have chaplains that are part of schools. We have chaplains that are part of first responder organizations. So during a disaster, we might be in a shelter. We might be handing out water. We might be handing out food. We'll meet the needs that the governmental agencies need us to fulfill during the actual disaster itself. And we'll actually be available for the disaster responders to help process what's going on along the way, you know, because they have to process these things when they go to bed at night, just like everyone else does.
So you're available on site?
We're available on site at the government's, invitation, and we are just here to help.
So what are some of the services that you actually provide when you're on site? What is the greatest need that you see when you're just there in the midst of it and there's a national
Sure.
disaster? So what are the types of services that you're readily available,
Sure.
that are readily available?
The greatest need that we're asked to fulfill is the actual chaplain component where we are present with people. We allow them an opportunity to tell us their story. You know, we find healing through the traumas that we experience in life through telling our story in a structured way. We run a state networked CISM team, critical incident stress management, where we help provide for a structured conversation that helps people process what they just experienced so that when they sleep at night during their REM sleep, it can process into a memory instead of be kind of stuck in their consciousness as an injury. So we're not mental health, but we're available kind of like a paramedic in my regular day job.
Yeah.
We help people that are injured to the best of our ability, and sometimes that's enough. Sometimes we need to take them to a physician at the emergency room to help care for injuries that are deeper than what we're trained for. Same thing as a chaplain. We help people cope with what's happened, but some people don't respond to just that level of help. Some need professional help. They need mental health. They need physicians. They need church counseling, something more.
Ongoing.
So we bridge resources for them after we've exhausted what we're trained to do, and we plug them into places that can help them further.
Well, in your opinion, how great is the need for a chaplaincy component in situations like this?
It's rather large, you know. We all remember the planes hitting the Twin Towers. We can see it in our head because it was played so much. Most of the healing that I've found after a disaster, after the trees are cut and the water is restored and the electricity is restored and the houses are rebuilt, are people still trying to cope with what happened. You know, and I go back to first responders because that's the biggest group that we work with. You know, paramedics and firefighters have a 70% first chance of divorce rate. They'll get divorced 70% of the time. They have 3 times the national suicide rate because they don't.
Wow.
Yeah, they don't know how to process, or they don't know. They've not been trained how to process the things that they see every day that most people don't see.
Right.
And so we try and provide them tools and education and help to allow them to recover in a much more structured, much more effective manner than just what the schools teach them, which is suck it up and continue walking along.
Well, is there such thing as fully recovering from these type of events?
We don't ever think that people are going to go back to exactly who and what they were before a disaster hits them and before their life turns into a crisis. However, there is a new normal that they can find that is healthy. That is healthy. It is not post-traumatic stress disorder. It is not the inability to function in society and have healthy relationships. I mean, there is a new normal on the other side of tragedy, and that's one of our goals, is to help people find that.
So obviously chaplains just don't work in the capacity of national disasters and things of that nature. No. You're a chaplain on a daily basis. Yeah. And so what are some of the services that you provide daily?
Just an ear to talk to. Chaplains are professional listeners. They're professional, counselor is a bad word, but when people listen, you know, sometimes just being present with people when they have a hard time. If their loved one has just died, sometimes just sitting there and being present with them and experiencing it, walking the road with them is enough. I mean, you can sit next to somebody who just lost a spouse and not say a word, and an hour later they thank you and say that your help made all the difference in the world for them. You didn't do anything. It's a ministry of presence. It's a kind word. It's knowing what not to say. It's knowing what to say.
Just knowing that someone's there.
It's knowing somebody cares about them.
Somebody cares.
Somebody cares, somebody loves them.
And that kind of starts to initiate the healing process too, in a sense.
It certainly does.
So if someone was in our audience were interested in being a part of the chaplaincy program, what necessary steps do they need to take?
There are lots of different chaplaincy organizations. Some are professional, you know, pastoral degree chaplains. You find those a lot of times in the hospital. Our particular organization, I.F.O.C.org, you can find a list of the training classes that are available across the nation. We hold one locally here in Killeen and Temple every year. And you go through the training. You have to, there's an application process. There's references that we check, a background check. And you plug into a corps. My job in I.F.O.C is I help oversee the corps across the nation. So my wife is the local corps commander in this area. She's in charge of the I.F.O.C chaplains in this region. And you just plug into a group and find where you're supposed to serve.
Oh, awesome, awesome. So